Okay, so I'm going to try and read you my story, Love Justice. Oh dear. I can't read very well, so this may go well, or I might just make it up as I go along. And it turns out, as I've gone through this, that I also can't count. So the chapters are in the right order, I just can't count. Love Justice by Jody, Klaire. Snow swept over lush green mountains, still bearing scars of the coal industry beneath their thick pine forests. The white blanketed every row of terraced houses, some red brick or grey, and some painted with garish colours, but all flashed and flickered and sparkled like fairground rides under icing sugar. Christmas wreaths adorned monuments to lost loved ones, from miners to children, families all buried for black gold in past centuries, to seafarers and soldiers and airmen. The cold stone and bronze glittered with snowflakes in the bitter, moonlit night. Through slush-filled lanes, turned brown with the traffic, over hedges dusted white with fields painted in a snowy glow, lay a small village. Its rugged old cottages wore the same straw hats. All were gathered around a Tudoresque pub and a grand old church with an illuminated cross on top. Bryn Cariad. Its families were mainly retired people. Their children had escaped to the noise of the cities, but Christmas snow always brought them home before the roads were undrivable and the sleepy village settled in for the holidays. Later than all the other children, Nia Jenkins chugged her ancient Land Rover up a ski slope of the lane into a town, and willed the rattling excuse for machinery to make it. Living in the city of London, she always used buses or taxis. Why splash out on a new 4x4 when she already only ever used it once a year? She flicked her window wipers into frantic to clear the thickening white and gritted her teeth. "Don't forget to plan for the snow," Mam had said. "You don't want to be stuck out there." Why hadn't Nia listened? She pulled her mouth to the side. When did she ever listen to her mam? If she did, she would have married Robert Jones. She glanced out at the snowy fields his dad owned. No thanks. "Come on," she muttered as the hunk of rattling metal stuttered. "Nearly there." Slam! She winced, braced, and her shoulder crunched into the door as someone clattered into her. Then she yelped as the 4x4 slid into Mr. Jones's wall. A loud creak and a groan and a hissing noise filled the door. The car. Great. Welcome home. A woman in the craziest Christmas bobble hat, which flashed on movement, ripped open the door to Nia's car. "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." The woman put her hands over her mouth. "Oh, I'm so sorry." Nia held up her shaking hands. "Yes, we've established you're sorry." She tested her shoulder. It was still attached, if the pain was anything to go by. "Did you hit the ice, or did you just decide you didn't like my car?" The woman bounced about on the balls of her feet. "Oh, I was making a house call. I didn't see you in the snow." She held out her hand. Nia frowned. She looked too energetic for a GP. Then again, most doctors she saw were sat behind a desk and with a bored expression on their face and with a prescription pad. "Please, let me check you over." "I don't know. You might try finishing me off." Nia tested her neck. Oh, that was going to take a lot of painkillers. "You won't get partner if you bump off his daughter, you know. Dad likes me." "Sometimes." "You're his daughter?" The woman stared up at the sky, bobble hat flashing away. "Oh, lovely." Nia sighed, shunted over the seat and grabbed her travel bag from the back. "Mr. Jones might want to lynch you before Dad catches you, though." The woman helped her out, and Nia tried out her wobbling legs. Ooh. Shock, just to add to the mix. "So do you have a name, or will that foil your ambush?" "Sarah," the woman said, doctor's gaze on, scouring her like she might put her in a jar. "Sarah Kavanagh." Ah, that was the Dr. Kavanagh Dad kept talking about then. He kept saying that he'd not seen the doctor like her since Ian, her brother, had been in the practice. In that case, everyone will probably side with you. She thumbed to her crunched-up car and shivered. If it was cold in Swansea, it was always 10 degrees lower up on the mountain. Let me give you a lift. I'll sort out your car. I can check you over then. Sarah led her to a Land Rover Defender which didn't seem to have a scratch on it. I should check you over now, though. She shivered and hugged herself as if the huge puffed-up coat didn't warm her enough. Oh dear, I think I'm in shock. You are the worst attacker ever. Nia shook her head and got in the driver's side. I know the lanes. I don't think you'll get to the surgery through this. Sarah got in and managed just to do a seatbelt. Wide-eyed, pale and shaking. I'll have to. I can't get home otherwise. Can you call? Was the woman crazy? When the snow came down like this, there was only one thing to do, and that was to find a warm fire and a nice brandy. Medically approved or not, the brandy was helped. No, Sarah shrugged. Well, I could try, but I don't think the plant pot knows how to pick up the receiver. Then Dad will give you help and let you stay at ours. Great. That would make the already riveting conversation between Ian and Dad a three-way drone about medical drivel. Just so you know, though, Ian is currently single and you might somehow be married off to him. That would be Mam's mission sorted until the snow let up. Yes, they could stop trying to marry her off to Robert Jones and she could rehearse her lines. The show wasn't going to learn itself, was it? Oh dear, I don't think Ian is my type. Sarah frowned. Her eyebrows weren't blonde, but they weren't dark in the interior light either. I don't know, maybe a sort of a mousy brown. You don't? Ian was stout. He was jolly. He had a fascination with flower arranging. Don't tell me you can resist the romantic conversations about how long a petunia should be in a vase. Sarah blinked at her. Why do I get the feeling that you're teasing me? I'm really not on that one. Nia smirked at Sarah, then drove them down the lane to her parents' cottage, right beside the church. So you do tease. Sarah's cheeks had colour again. Intense medical professionals will need to lighten up, yeah. She pulled them off the lane and slid to a stop in the flower bed. Oops. If they ask me, I'm saying you parked. Nia jumped out, legs still wobbly, and retrieved her bag. Sarah took a doctor's bag from the back. Why, there were more medical equipment inside than in the surgery, and nodded as if bracing herself. I take full responsibility. Nia rolled her eyes and shoved open the wide, thick wood door, ducked to avoid the mistletoe, and stamped off her snow on the mat, then turned. Sarah was still focused on the door. Her eyes were not brown, not quite brown, sort of a more cappuccino-y colour. Did you freeze? She put her hands on her hip. Because it's not that cold. Sarah blinked a few times. I'm steeling myself. Right. Well, you're letting the heat out, man. She pulled off her boots and wiggled her toes, while Sarah was still standing like a statue. Should I just shut the door and get Mam to bring you some food? I'm contemplating hiding in the car. Sarah shrugged and cooed at her bag. I don't think I can take conversation. Why? You might like you one. If you don't, just tell him your fiancé is rich and a consultant or something. Nia tapped on the door. Was Sarah really comforting her medical equipment? Was that just shock or insanity? Unless you're hoping for hypothermia? Sarah lifted her bag up, hugged it, then walked forwards, then stopped, then walked to the car, then stopped, then did the same again. Twice. Did you concuss yourself? What was with her? No, I'm always this dithery about family things. She glanced back at her car. I really don't like family things. You don't like dinner with 2 doctors, a vicar and an actress. She waved at the hallway, and it was the same as it had always been. A pine wood floor, coats hanging up on the racks with boots and shoes below. Just think, all we need is a butler and Colonel Mustard, and we're a Cluedo set all by ourselves. Dr. Kavanagh in the lane with a Land Rover, she mumbled and tittered, and then cooed to her bag again. Hey, there could be humour in there somewhere, who knows? Yeah, so pass go, collect some warmth, and if you stick a hotel on Park Street, I'm doing you for assault. Nia offered her best smile. None of Dad's other GPs were this shy, crazy, interesting. Most of them, she couldn't shut up. Sarah hurried inside and Nia shut the door before she bolted. Thanks. You're welcome. Nia took Sarah's hat off her and her coat off her and her own hat off and her own coat off and hung them on the hook, and then she held out her hand. You can't seduce Yayan in a puffer coat, which Sarah pulled tighter around her. He's not that bad, if a girl liked long walks in the countryside and taking pictures of flowers. Not my type. Sarah was staring. Why was she staring? Nia touched her hand to her head. What? Dr. Andy Mayflower, Sarah mumbled, then let out a long breath. No wonder you're so good. If you start singing the theme tune to me, I will get violent. Yes, the long-running medical drama gave her a steady income and publicity. The people also thought she could perform surgery and give them a prescription. Sorry, I love the show. Sarah shrugged, then took off her coat, still gripping her doctor's bag. I've always loved the show. She stepped out of her boots. Your dad never said you were in the show. No, he wouldn't, because the only people from outside the village who wouldn't know he was his daughter, really. Let go of the bag, Sarah. No one is going to steal your stethoscope. Sarah stared down at it, then smiled. Oh, it's not my doctor's bag. She opened up the top, and a tiny dog popped out. Frederick comes everywhere with me. Okay, that was a relief. Cooing to tiny pets was allowed. Nia grinned, then fussed the miniature Doberman. Now that will get you off the hook with Yayan. Sarah beamed down at Frederick and kissed him on the head. How so? He doesn't like dogs. He has a cat. She led Sarah into the kitchen, all quiet. Must be everyone in the church hall sharing maybe a mulled wine with the rest of the village. She took a saucer from the cupboard and filled it with water. Saved by Frederick. Sarah let the little guy, the size of about a guinea pig, out, and he trotted to the bowl for a drink. Guess I won't need romance after all. Exactly. Nia winked at her. Who needs romance?